Okay.
Oh, by the way, just in case everybody wants to know, everything's wonderful. She's going to be here at the start of the new year. And I will bring her up here to a city council meeting. I can introduce her to everybody.
Good. Awesome deal.
Is this it, Sarah?
That's it.
And is that the right one to share?
Yeah.
We'll see.
You didn't know where you came. I thought no one was behind me.
Sorry.
No.
I was quickly approaching because I was in a hurry. And got my lights. Still loud.
You minimize you more, yes. Okay, there you go.
Okay, are we set?
You're set, we're going.
So welcome. We are have the Fairview City Council work session for Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. Mayor Keith is out representing the city of Fairview this evening, I believe in a Metro meeting, I think is where he's at. And so on the work session tonight, we have a safer Sandy Boulevard draft plan discussion, and then Nathan has a 4-day work week update here shortly after that. So Sarah, we'll let you start.
Okay. Maybe that's going, or maybe we don't need that. Good evening, counselors. I just want to reintroduce you to Arini Farrell with Multnomah County. She's been the project manager on the county's team for this project and was here the last time that we presented. So Arini is going to help go over the information and answer any questions.
Okay. I told you guys at the beginning of the meeting that I will keep coming back, and here I am. I hope you
Kept your word. That's right. So this evening, we wanted to share some of the results that we received from the second phase of community engagement, go over the draft concept design, and then get some feedback from you on some questions that we're also going to be posing to the public during the third and final step in the engagement process. And then we'll just quickly remind everybody of the next steps and timeline. So we went over this at the last meeting, but just a reminder that this project that we're working on right now is a corridor planning effort. And following this planning effort, which is going to come up with a 10% concept design, the county will be in the spring of 2026 moving into the engineering for the first construction phase of the project, which will extend from 201st to the east end of Quail Hollow and the RV park. And then move into construction for that first phase. And in the meantime, hopefully identify funding to continue the improvements eastward. And for this particular planning project, you can see the yellow circled area down on the right side with our council meetings. You can see that we're kind of in the last phase of the project. After doing the existing conditions assessment, getting feedback from the community, and putting together this draft concept, we are now in the phase where staff from the county and the city are reviewing the draft plan. And then we'll be going out to the public for feedback before wrapping that up in the spring and then moving on to the engineering. And just a quick reference here, the project was divided up into these 4 segments. Segment 1 at the west end, starting at 201st, going to Fairview Parkway. Segment 2 going up to Blossom Hill Road at Fairview Terrace. Segment 3 extending to 223rd, and then segment 4 is the east of 223rd section. So we might refer to that. And then the first construction phase includes all of segment 1 and most of segment 2. So since the last time we met, we shared information that we received from the public during the first phase. And then the consultant, based on that initial feedback, started looking at a bunch of different alternatives. So we went through and mapped things out as we were exploring different options for the roadway. And now we have moved into trying to identify the preferred alternative or the preferred design based on feedback. So I'm going to turn it over to Irini to talk for a minute about the phase 2 outreach and what we heard.
Yeah, so the phase 2 outreach, as I mentioned the last time that I came to council, we took the existing conditions report, the needs of Sandy, what are the projections of the future for Sandy, and also the feedback from the first phase of what the residents told us, their main concerns on Sandy and reasons why they don't feel safe. Putting that together, and we came up with the consultants, not me, but no, they're the experts in that, but option A and option B. So essentially, there is a big need for us to install sidewalks and bike lanes, as we are aware. And there's also it's very loud and clear that they want to be separated from the road. So even when we put the sidewalk, we want to make sure there is some buffer for the truck movements and any kind of speeding movements. So one of the options are option A, where bike lanes and sidewalks are elevated and the bike lane and the sidewalks are next to each other. But because of also the kind of cyclist movement with e-bikes and the way that people would want to use the bikes, people have expressed that they also want that separation between cyclists and pedestrians. And then the option B is the multi-use path, where Sandy has a pretty tight cross-section, so not every side of Sandy are wide to accommodate that sidewalk bike lanes. And we propose maybe a multi-use path where we do have that shared use and the sidewalk. So the phase 2 outreach, we went back to the same groups of people. We went to Quail Hollow, we went to Smith Memorial Church, and we also engaged with CELS, who are kind of on the ground grassroots organization that talk to different residences with different multi-language needs. So some were targeted to talk to the Ukrainian and the Russian speaking communities, as well as Spanish speaking communities. So in that phase, we really asked, are we on the right track? Like, are these options even options that you like? Are these the ones that you would feel safer on our road? So I'll try to keep it pretty brief. We actually got more results on phase 2. Typically with a planning project, we would see a fall off when we get into the technical side. There's actually 100 more respondents to phase 2. About 500 residents did tell us how they feel on the survey, which is a really good result on our end. So most people did express that they prefer option A at 45%. Option B is not that far of a difference at 34%, and some liked it equally. And others did give us some qualitative information. And when we broke down, I don't know if there's this slide about the residents.
It's just like in that small text up there.
Oh, yeah, okay. We did break down the groups of people that responded to our feedback, and about 70% actually did say they live on Sandy, with the remaining like 20% say they travel it frequently. So in terms of a planning project, we feel pretty happy with the results. And I also want to thank Sarah to push this project. And I know you guys have also worked to kind of elevate this project with your constituents. One of the main things that we did ask the public too is in the survey that we asked, which I'm sure some of you did fill out, some of the proposed changes that would be implemented on Sandy. So one of the big ones that we did ask is for segment 3 by Fairview Terrace, we were trying to accommodate the center turn lane because that section is really dark and is problematic for the residents to turn into their community. And in order to accommodate that cross-section that we have without taking additional right-of-way. We proposed that maybe we have to remove the parking lane on the north side of Sandy Boulevard. So this survey did show us about 78% were responsive to that proposal, and they support that change. The major so I do also want to mention that really quickly, we did end up going to Fairview Terrace and bring up this idea. There were residents that weren't too happy with the idea of taking away parking on Fairview Terrace. And we do note that in our plan to make sure that they feel like they've been heard and there was an overwhelming support for the center turn lane. I think that's the main thing that they really want to get out of the plan.
So, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
So on that north side, I mean, there are, to me, sometimes a significant number of people that park along that area. So you're suggesting then that we would eliminate that altogether?
Well, we would eliminate it to accommodate for bike lanes and sidewalks and also the center turn lanes, because there's just so many things that we need from that road. Right now, the other side of the road is not developable at all. So, and I also want to note that this section of Sandy are the section that we don't have construction funding for. So this is still in the conceptual phase. And if we do go into engineering, that's when we can explore more options on Fairview Terrace.
But in today's world, though, I mean, the folks that live there, that some of them depend on that, where would they park?
I believe that they have parking inside the development.
But they just choose not to use it now?
I'm not so sure, I can't make that claim, but technically, when we review like applications for development, typically we would require like on-site parking.
Got it.
And not rely on off-street parking.
And then with the new apartment complex that's closer to 223, would that eliminate that parking too,
So.
based on this recommendation?
So in between 223rd and sort of the west edge of the new apartment complex, there is no on-street parking. Some people are parking in a very narrow section, which is not supposed to be for parking. And you'll notice it's striped much narrower than the parking along Fairview Terrace. We have heard, so there, as it's designed and striped right now, people are not supposed to park there. We have heard that the apartment complex is causing some demand for parking in front of Fairview Terrace. So I think that's one of the reasons that we're talking about how we can do additional outreach. I mean, we did ask the question once, but going out to Fairview Terrace and the Meadowlark Apartments again and talking about this on-street parking question.
Right.
And some of the visibility issues may be able to be mitigated by like limiting the parking a little more around the entrances into Fairview Terrace, which is a concern that we initially heard from the board, while still keeping some parking spaces. So I think we're continuing to explore this one, and we might not have this is going to be like a 10% design plan. And as we refine things a little bit further, once we do get funded for that section in the future, I think we'll continue to kind of figure out that question.
Yeah, but just on the west end of the apartment complex, because I stopped by the other day and took a few pictures myself. There's a sign that says passenger vehicle parking only.
Yes.
Which is just basically as you drive into the apartments, I guess just to the west of that. And I talked to Nathan this morning kind of about a little curve out area that people are, in my opinion, taking a little advantage of. But just for clarification, when you give us this slide here, you're talking about where people, I mean, and there are a lot of people parking out there these days. We're talking about eliminating all that parking west of the new apartments past Fairview Terrace.
That's correct. That was that survey question.
One of the, this is just a qualitative thing that I heard too, is also about the RV parkings that's been happening in East County, and removing that parking may alleviate some of the issues that we have with unwanted RV parking. So that is just a comment that I've heard also.
Yeah, but
That's not the reason why.
But my
That's not the reason
experience,
why we-
my experience with RV parking that we're not that interested in having there, they really don't care whether there's a sign there. They don't care whether this road goes this way or it goes that way. They're gonna do what they're gonna do.
I think what she's saying is.
What they're gonna do.
There won't be a shoulder anymore. Is that correct? There won't be a shoulder, so if they were to park, they would have to dump it right in the middle of the lane, which is.
Well, I mean, me personally, I would just like to hear more about this, because I drive by that every day. And there are a significant number of apartment dwellers in the new complex, and we're happy to have them. But they definitely take advantage, and they use that because it's available for use. And there are times, I believe, that the folks at Fairview Terrace have, company over, and they utilize that area out front. So if we're talking about eliminating it in total, then Fairview Terrace, I would guess, is going to have to make some kind of accommodations for people to bring them into their development. And I'm not sure exactly what the apartments are going to do too. They're going to have to figure, they only have so much space there. So anyway, I'm sorry to
Yeah.
keep going, but this is concerning.
Yeah, well, this is, this is why we're doing this phase 3 outreach. We asked the question, and I think we were maybe a little surprised too, that 80% of people said get rid of the parking. So now is our chance that we can delve into it a
Yeah,
little
I mean,
bit.
I guess to me, it's like trying to figure out who that 80% is. Because, you could have some folks down in, I call it our area now, Nathan, since you live down that city, that it really doesn't affect us. I mean, whether they park there or they don't park there, I mean, just as a casual citizen of the city, it doesn't matter. But the reality is, it is an issue.
Well, I think if I may, it's 72% of people, or 72%, did you say 70% of the people that sort of fill out the survey live right off of Sandy?
Yeah, the people, the respondents overall of the survey, 70% Sandy.
And of those 70% plus the additional 30, 80%.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'd kind of like to try to understand more of that little demographic of that 70-some%, really, where are they? But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we did look into the zip code. Our consultant did look into who actually filled out, because one of the questions on the survey is fill out your zip code. So I feel like it would be remiss if it was more 40% or 50%, then we wouldn't kind of wanted to go forward with that, but it is a pretty significant amount of people did say yes to it. And I want to honor the residents who did respond to the surveys, and it's not a small amount.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I think maybe we should try to take a deeper dive and understand exactly
Yeah.
what that makeup is.
Yes, exactly. And that's what we're thinking to do during this next outreach phase.
I got a question and a comment. When the apartments were built, how many extra parking spaces did they have for visitors and stuff like that they put in?
I do not remember off the top of my head because it was about 8 years ago.
I'd be interested in knowing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bare minimum.
Yeah, the bare minimum.
The other.
I was there and it was the bare minimum.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
And I think the other, interesting thing is that arterial roads historically have not had on-street parking as part of the county's street
So
crossing.
it's been an odd place.
Yeah.
So when the Meadowlark apartment complex went in, their frontage improvements were designed without on-street parking because that was sort of the standard. And I'm not sure how or why the on-street parking did get put in front of Fairview Terrace, because I think that was, even at that time, inconsistent with the county's roadway designs. So yeah, these are all things that we're kind of working through as we're doing our staff review of this concept plan.
And
Yeah, all really good questions.
my comment in regards to Smith Memorial Presbyterian Church, they have the food pantry on Saturday mornings. And we've already had a couple of people that work the food pantry on Saturday to come up here and let us know how concerned they are with there not being a crosswalk when the food pantry is going on.
That's 223rd though,
All right.
I know, but
but that's not what we're,
Yeah. But yes,
Okay.
this project will also.
Okay.
I mean, but we can't fix it with this thing, is what I'm saying.
All right.
But I bitch about that all the time, that you're talking about. It's not this thing.
Yeah, but we do hear that as
Yeah,
a.
and I've said it many times,
Yeah.
and you've heard me at those meetings and so forth. So,
Yeah, so,
So, yeah, and then I guess just, we did hear that, exactly what you would expect. Crosswalks are needed and supported. There was some feedback that some of the proposed crosswalks, we'll look at it in a minute, could be consolidated on the west end.
this doesn't have any money for that.
Bus stop improvements were really important to
At all.
respondents. And then, safety, while walking or rolling, traveling efficient and safer biking were all top concerns from people who took that survey. So we're gonna just move into looking at the cross-section and switch out actually of this PowerPoint presentation in a minute. But just wanted to kind of point out that you can see here, the purple area are where we're proposing to add a new center turn lane to be able to turn in and out of driveways and adjacent private property. And then all of those orange dots are where new crossing locations are proposed along the road. The blue dots are both pedestrian improvements at intersections and then bus stop improvements. So that's just a kind of big picture view. And we're gonna now leave this. I'm gonna stop this sharing and open up the, okay. This. Okay. So this is kind of an interactive plan of the street, and we're going to kind of scroll through from west to east. So starting at segment 1. So this here is Northeast 201st. And Arini, just like jump in. I'm going to kind of start rattling through some changes,
we're
but
like taking a tour of Sandy.
tour of Sandy,
Where you're
exactly.
And this is also, just to note, this is Gresham's portion of Sandy, so we're working with Gresham closely on how this configuration would fit into their road.
So to put it in perspective, this Stagecoach is basically right where the TriMet bus stop lettering is.
Yes,
Okay.
Yep.
Which, by the way, you will never convince anybody that the Stagecoach is technically in Gresham.
no,
They will fight to the
that's why
death.
we took this on, we're
Their sign
doing,
that says Fairview, Oregon is in Gresham
Yeah.
by 3 feet. 12 feet.
This is, so this section number 1 from 201st to Jersey Parkway has the highest traffic. It's about $12,500 average daily vehicle trips. And this section also has a really variable right-of-way widths from 50 feet only to 100 feet. So there are some really constrained portions that are going to be, require some different solutions. So here on this section here, there's going to be a new crossing added and then there's also going to be some new signal improvements to increase safety crossing the road. There's going to be the TriMet bus stop will be slightly relocated, moving a little bit, and then seating added to the TriMet bus stops is proposed for travel in both directions on the bus. We are working right now on exactly what the intersection will look like, but the idea is to have a protected intersection where the bikes and the sidewalk are both out of the roadway and separated from the vehicle traffic by this wider apron.
so that apron is actually like a pop-up mountable to help truck, like slows down when they turn. we have not had that on our roads ever before, so this is kind of like what we're exploring right now. But we have been told that it's been regionally used throughout the metro region and other suburban examples and contexts. So we will probably forward some examples to you all once we get the final concepts on what that actually looks like.
So you're saying that that gray area is raised to prevent
Yeah, like a little,
having to make a more than 90-degree turn without, I don't drive a lot of trucks, but I've, you know, worked with a lot of truck drivers, and I know that they would see that and go, big problem, because 53-foot trailers don't track like that.
So it's kind of a, what would you say? Like a rolled curve. It's just sort of a little bit of a slope.
Like a speed
and
hump.
Okay.
Yeah.
it's like an inch,
Gonna use it.
4 inches.
Yeah, they're going to use it one way or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's only raised by an inch or 2 to 4 inches, so it's not,
If it
yeah.
was a curb, then I would have budget for replacing the curb about every 2
Yeah.
years, when trailers kept driving over it. So anyway, okay.
Yeah, I did make a point, like, we're not like division, like that is really hard for us to navigate, but maybe something in between on how to slow things down.
Okay.
I've seen other places, it's just kind of a little hump.
Yeah. And then moving east here, so you can see that we've got the center turn lane. The green is, I can zoom in a little bit more. So this green depicts kind of a landscape buffer. And then this darker gray right here, that would be the bike lane. And then the lighter gray would be the sidewalk. And what we're looking at right now is the bike lane would be asphalt and the sidewalk would be concrete to differentiate the two, with a tiny little, you can see there's like a little yellow stripe here. So something to visually give you the cue that it's for different modes of travel.
And when you say landscape buffer, would that be something that's maintained by the county?
Jason,
Yes.
property
Oh, well, technically the property owners, but we're trying to find a way where it's not like big trees, but very manageable maintenance, because we do have that issue. So we're trying to maybe just make it like grass or something that,
So you're saying that is the adjacent property owner's responsibility?
yeah, anything up to the curb technically are, but to be realistic, it will probably not. It's a lot of owners to ask the property owners to do that. So we are understanding that there might be times where county maintenance will have to take a look and maintain those things. But on per the code, it is the property owner's responsibility.
And no bioswales, above ground bioswales?
I don't see anything on the plans yet, so.
Yeah, and we have been
It's-
engaging the county road engineer has been part of the project team, and he's been weighing in on these questions around maintenance and the type of stormwater facilities, so. And then here's the first new crosswalk. So this would be a rapid flashing beacon where you would push a button, it would flash, and then you could stop in the middle at this refuge island. So that's the RRFB. I'm gonna zoom out again just a tiny bit.
They're officially what, Ian? Flashy blinkies?
Blinky crosswalks.
Crosswalks, exactly.
Yeah, no
So-
longer referred to as intermittent beacon things.
Right. So in between 201st and Fairview Parkway, there's 3 new flashing beacons proposed. And this is one of the area that survey respondents thought that maybe they could be consolidated. So here's the first 2. The next one comes up at 205th. So right here, so there's the, 205th goes down here with the apartments. Here's the Sulamita Church. So this would be a new, I actually don't remember exactly what the hybrid beacon is, but
It's like a
these.
hawk. It's called, I just even said something more confusing, and you realize, but it's the one that's like a mass arm up. So that's why they call it a hawk. So there's like an arm on top.
And these would be new crosswalks added at this intersection. Again, improving and slightly relocating the bus stop. And then we come up to Fairview Parkway.
where again, this enhanced and protected intersection concept is proposed. And at this intersection, there would be a crosswalk added to the west side of the intersection where there is not one now. And then moving to the east here, one of the other things that's being proposed right here at Celebrities Parkway Grill, there's a very wide driveway opening. So one of the things we'll be, talking with that property owner about is narrowing that up so it can really control the movements in and out and hopefully, kind of increase safety right there where it's a bit of a free-for-all right now. And then moving to the east here past Jackson's Fuel, you get up to this area right here where Osborne Creek passes underneath. And it is very constrained in here. There is a culvert that potentially needs to get replaced. And so that's one of the areas that I think the county's engineering team is looking closely at in terms of what types of bike and pedestrian facilities could we reasonably fit to improve access for everyone, while at the same time not driving up costs too much, in particular with, if there's a major upgrade to the culvert requiring, new fish passage requirements be met. So that is one of the really constrained areas in this section and something that's the team is looking at closely in terms of the design options.
Yeah, this is where, when we talk about trade-offs, maybe in this phase of engagement, we might have to consolidate the sidewalks and reduce the bike lane altogether just to accommodate that ped and bike. Because the width of that, I think it's about 50 feet, which is really tight.
You just squeeze it down for that section and
Yeah.
open it back up.
We might have to, because if we do have to, another way we are exploring it is also widening the road, but in order to do that, then we'll have to do full removal of the culvert. We have a budget of about $6.5 million. That would probably be at least half of what that budget would be. Just because it's such a significant amount of work to widen the road with a creek underneath. So that might be like the areas where we do have to have some compromise.
So we'll make sure there is a safe place for a bike and, pedestrian travel where there is none right now. But yeah, might be some trade-offs. And then we're getting to the area here where Quail Hollow is located. So we've got, here's the entrance to Quail Hollow. Right now, and what will be in the future, there's a bus stop on kind of at either side. We are proposing, the existing bus stop is right here on the south side of the street. We're proposing to move it a little bit further so that the bus can pull up fully past the driveway entrance and not block it. And then you'd have a rapid flashing beacon with a pedestrian refuge island in here to get across so that you can travel on the bus both directions. And then on the north side here is the RV park. So you've got the center turn lane or median through here. And in this section, you've got a pretty wide right-of-way, actually. So there's a little bit more flexibility in terms of the design, but was also acknowledged that with RVs and trailers going in and out of the RV park, that needs to be accommodated to have the space needed for those vehicles to safely turn in and out.
Yeah, what we also try to maintain is to make sure that we still maintain like a 12-foot width travel lane. Typically in these safety projects, they like to reduce it to 11 feet. But we know this is a truck movement and this is an RV area too. So any space where the travel lane can be maintained at 12 feet is where we're trying to keep that.
I got a question. In regards to the Safer Sandy project, is there going to be, and I'd like to remind you, we are not Portland, we are East County, okay? is there gonna be a bunch of those little concrete barriers up along the street and stuff like that, like there is in Portland? Like, I'll give you an example where Epic Sports Bar is in Portland. They got tons of those little concrete things, and they're not very good for your car. Not that I go out of my way to run over them, but I think they've kind of went overboard, my personal opinion.
I've been saying that we are not Portland to our consultants many times, and we want to make sure that drivers and pedestrians can find a balance together too. So I don't see, other than the truck pumps, I don't think we have any ideas of like other concrete things on the road to slow it down.
Yeah, it would really just be the refuge island where there's a pedestrian crosswalk, and then the curb.
Okay,
So pretty standard, I think, in terms of the travel lanes.
okay, thank you.
So the end of this first phase of construction hits right about here. So this is where Fairview Terrace starts to the east and where the RV park and Quail Hollow end to the west. So this is all in phase 2. We talked a little bit, or segment 2, we talked about the frontage here along Fairview Terrace related to the parking. And also proposed here would be to add a crossing, really to be able to access the bus stops that are on either side of the road. So there are also some different trade-offs depending upon whether or not the sidewalk in future construction gets maintained all along Fairview Terrace. There's obviously no sidewalk or bike lane on the south side, but I think depending upon what existing improvements are retained and what's added, it may change exactly what the right-of-way needs are in terms of the width and the need for acquiring additional right-of-way on the south side of the road.
Where those yellow lines are is that just a painted area, or is there gonna be bumps there?
No, just paint.
Okay,
So yeah, we're approaching Fairview Terrace, and I mentioned that we did talk to Fairview Terrace. They provided really good feedback about the crosswalks that we would have over here, on how maybe possibly moving it further this way, so because residents might have a blind spot when they pull out, or people going into Fairview Terrace will also might have the blind spot for people crossing. So we're recalibrating this kind of crosswalk in this intersection based on the feedback that we got. But we did get really good feedback about maintaining the center turn lane, especially this side. And it is worth noting, as you guys all know, how dark it is out here. So one of the main points are also just like focus on lighting, on the lighting report. That's what we want to highlight for Fairview Terrace.
So can we talk about segment 3 here for just a second? One individual has frontage on 12.5% of this project, that person right there.
Yeah.
And I happen to be acquainted with him. If you look at the tax lot, so that tax lot are his, but he's had his property taken by the state of Oregon, DOT. He's had the sliver in the upper right there is the county. The other two are also ODOT. And he's looking at this going, you want to take how much of my property to put a sidewalk and a bike lane for one house? And so I know that this is a ways away, but I want to start the discussion of maybe this is where we take as little as possible. We put a combination path in. I don't see the need to have a bike and a sidewalk on this side that's servicing one person versus the voice of 500 others.
Right, the trade-off of like, maybe this is where the sidewalk is sufficient, not a bike.
Right, exactly. You know, take as little as possible, because he expressed great concern that he took the survey, but of course he can only take it once, and there's 499 other people who are all chiming in, even though he owns 12.5% of the project. So I would ask that we keep that in mind when we come to this, and this is years away, right? Segment 3's a couple years away, 3 years away,
I'm trying,
10 years away. I mean, the guy isn't that young. He,
Yeah.
you know, and I actually asked him, you know, that would be an interesting place for a fire station too. Very centrally located. So anyway,
The boats.
huh?
Boats.
And the boats would be too, yes. He would, yeah, anyway. So I just want to bring that up, that segment 3, there's one person who owns basically all of that segment.
Yeah.
Well, all the way to 223rd. And he came up to me and said, what the hell? I've already, and he would love it if the state, because they never used that, if you scroll that way behind his house, the state took that and never did anything. That funky
Yeah.
kind of trapezoidal thing there, they took that and didn't do anything.
Yeah,
He's like, can I have it back? I said, that's state, not me, so.
right.
well, I can't speak for the state either.
No, none of us can. I said, have you called ODOT? But anyway, I just wanted to put that out there and kind of get it on the record that when the time comes, we need to look at the fact that one person is going to be affected very significantly, so.
And that is in the next stage going to be one of the major considerations, at least for the construction section that we'll be doing, is what are the right-of-way needs? How can we minimize right-of-way needs? Because it obviously does add a lot of time and expense to the.
Well, and it sort of seems like, because we already have sidewalks in the north side of segment 3, we almost need to do this as 1, 2, 4, 3. 4 is the worst by far and away.
Yeah, so that's actually one of the survey
segue.
questions we want to have, so we're in the right spot. I do want to note, this intersection right here is a big focus. We initially proposed that we were going to look at this intersection and actually look more north, but we didn't get what we asked for from RUFA. So I do want to make a note that they marked that left turn, designated left turn lane, and getting rid of the designated right turn lane. I don't feel that's true to the needs of the residents on Sandy.
No, not at all.
You'll need the right turn lane.
Yep.
And maybe get rid of the left turn lane to accommodate the traffic, because there's just way more backup at this point. But I want to confirm with you before, and we did ask Ferry Terrace too, and they were pretty like, no way, Jose. So it would be pretty consistent with what we've heard.
Yeah. So yes, we know that this is a top priority for improvement at this intersection. It feels very unsafe. You don't have sidewalks along this frontage here. So.
Not to mention, what's the traffic counts there? Because, I mean, I can come home for lunch at 2:30 and sit for 3 cycles at that light coming southbound. I mean, the amount of traffic that's going through that intersection is unhinged.
Yeah. Yeah, there is definitely increased traffic heading southbound through that intersection, especially midday and afternoon. Yeah. And then just, we're just talking about this segment 4 where there are no pedestrian or bicycle improvements at all. It is also a constrained section. You've got slopes on the side of the road. You've got the creek crossing through. So this is another area where, potentially replace a culvert, where we might need to be a little bit more creative, or there might be some trade-offs in terms of what the cross-section looks like. Maybe it's not a bike lane and a sidewalk on both sides of the street throughout this area. What we want to provide that connectivity, but there aren't as many destinations. It leads to the industrial area, although once you get to 230th, then Walmart and that commercial area in Village is a big destination.
And what's the mobile home park there?
Yeah, the mobile home park
It
that's,
is totally escaping me.
Yep.
it's right here.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, I apologize to people that I can't remember.
So, there is a crosswalk proposed here. So we'll want to make sure that we do provide that connectivity and improvements to those bus stops in this area to serve the industrial park. But again, it is more of a constrained area, and there's even more options, I think, being considered for that 4th segment.
So I guess
So-
we can quickly talk about our ideas for the phase 3 survey.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I went ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm gonna leave this, and go back to the PowerPoint here just for a minute. Okay, and then we'll try and wrap this up quickly also. Okay. So in late January, we're going to be going out and doing more outreach with a final survey and just closing the loop and touching base with the stakeholders that we met with from the beginning of the project before the county moves into the 30% design and engineering.
Yeah, so just to note, the spring 30%, that's part of like the whole procurement, so it will take a while before you see something, but we're gonna begin moving some funds to the engineering phase in spring.
So here are some questions, those top two bullets that we're thinking of asking the public as part of this last round of outreach. So if you have any feedback on asking those questions or not, we are open to that, but also we'd like to hear from you which types of improvements on the road you think are the highest priority, and then which section should be constructed next.
So one of the examples of questions we ask for improvements, we ask to select up to 3 crosswalks, lighting. One of it is new sidewalks, maintain new pavement, like new pavement conditions. Those are the kind of things that we would want to see, because with that $6.5 million, there might be a chance that we don't get to do everything we want, but we do want to make sure that we reflect what the community's priorities are. So that would be, like, if crosswalks didn't end up being the top 3, then we'll look into maybe installing 2 instead of the 4 that we wanted to do. So that's the question. That's the reason why we want to ask. And we want to make sure that people feel still engaged into the project and feel like they are still part of it, because in the construction phase, that's when we also want people to be like, with the project.
So when you say that crosswalks, I mean, in this example, could be a highest priority, but is that assuming that there's actually a sidewalk there?
I don't know, yeah, we just put crosswalks, so I guess we can fine tune that question. I
Crosswalk
didn't.
nowhere, just kind of a little.
Yeah, no, that's very valid.
Well, I think,
We're gonna make sure that there's sidewalks though, because that wouldn't make sense. That We're gonna do that.
Okay.
But I think in that context is like, if crosswalks do end up being the #1 pick, then we would prioritize installing all the crosswalks that's in the plan, and maybe we take out some, maybe lighting. That could be areas that we don't put as much, so.
Right, I mean, I think the crosswalk could be somewhat flexible depending on the area where you put them, but sidewalks are just fundamentally.
yes.
Yep.
Yes, and I don't think that this is going to get constructed without a place to walk on both sides of the street.
Right.
I think that is kind of a bare minimum, yeah,
You're not gonna roll down the hill into the creek.
right. But, like we talked about, there was the option for the shared bike and pedestrian path. So, maybe if funding is short in some areas or there's some constraints, it was a pretty even split in terms of preference for those 2 options, A and B. Option B with a shared path would be a little bit cheaper. So if that's not the top priority and crosswalks and lighting are more important, then that might dictate.
I got a question. What is the rule of thumb when it comes to crosswalks as to how far they should be from another crosswalk?
Yeah, we have a standard for arterials is typically 300 to 500 feet. So if it's more than 500 feet, that's not good for anyone, because that's way too far. And unfortunately with Sandy, that hasn't been reflected in that standard that we have. So that's kind of what the plan we're based on, the 300 to 500 difference.
Thank you.
Does the council have a preference in terms of the next highest priority after doing 201st through Quail Hollow?
And Forest needs the most help.
Four is the scariest part of that road to walk by far.
Yeah.
So 1 and 2, 3, you can walk on the north side. There's a sidewalk there. There's some street lighting. 2 narrows down, but you can still get through. 1 is, but 4, if I had to walk from Sandy down to, someplace down the hill there, I'd be scared.
So would 4 include the intersection?
Of 223.
It would include the intersection.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to lean towards the people who live there, like, they, like the 70% of the people in the survey, they, live there. And so I lean their way, but, like people said, like 4 is, it's scary and unimproved and needs the most help.
Right. And I assume that you've been sitting in front of our counterparts across 223rd, and they probably rank that as a really high priority.
Yeah.
And we like to play nice with them.
Yeah, so I would say 4,
Yeah. I would think
if I
4.
had my druthers.
There's a lot of people on Sunday morning who walk.
Oh, good point.
Great. Well, thank you for the chance to share the update on the project and get some feedback. You'll be getting information when the next survey is out. And then we'll plan to come back, I think, once this plan is wrapped up and give you another update.
Okay, just for timekeeping purposes, Nathan, are you okay just doing your 4-day work week update during the regular meeting? Just to add that to that. With that, while this is not common by any stretch of the imagination, but we've got Eric Mueller here tonight, which he's probably got his attendance at council meetings probably rates right up there with whoever's been here at 100% of the time. He's requested to speak on the topic, so maybe just a few minutes, and if you want to come up here to the big table, you're welcome to do that.
I also just want to thank you all for being so engaged
you.
and informed about the project. It means a lot to feel.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, thank you for the presentation.
Next one.
That one's not on.
They're not on during work session.
We're using those little,
Okay,
you're good, you're good.
Just talk.
They're good.
Go ahead.
okay.
See.
Fine, it's right there.
I was just going to say thank you for the presentation and the update. I had contacted Sarah earlier in the week that I disagreed with part of the conclusions. She's provided some more information and the survey information I'm skeptical of, just given the quantities, that I don't frankly think there are that many people that actually live on Sandy that said they live there. I think there's a lot of folks that may have clicked that live in Fairview and drive along that section. So I think my feeling is that may be a bit overstating. But in any case, we've had lots of engagement. We had early on had Sarah connect up with a couple of folks on our HOA board at Fairview Terrace to make sure that we got engagement. And Renee and her team came, it was just the night after the last council meeting, to an HOA board and did a presentation and so forth. And certainly the message was loud and clear that the folks that were in attendance at that meeting definitely desire a left turn lane as they go in and out on Sandy, because as was noted, it does have a bit of a truck route. And there could be a desire for some additional, maybe a car length or two setback from the current, in the current entrance area there on Blossom Hill. I guess the part that I don't believe is entirely understood by the folks that were responding, as well as the discussion at the meeting, is that the left turn lane would be at the cost of the parking. Because the parking along there, well, it's news to me, and I certainly understand it, that's probably not a standard for arterials on the county roads. It's there, it's been there for the 22 years that the HOA has been there, and that parking area definitely does get used by the HOA residents, visitors. And as you had noted, there's an increasing number of folks that are parking from the the Meadowlark immediately to the west of their section there. I don't know whether it's visitors or whether they maybe charge for a second vehicle with an apartment, so folks are opting to park on the street. I don't know what the drive is, but can be a dozen or more cars lined up along there. So it would be certainly an improvement to have a left turn lane, but I am real concerned about the negative consequences of losing the parking along that section. So I wanted to come as a citizen and HOA board member and so forth to just express that viewpoint to whatever extent it makes any difference. I realize it's part of the next phase, but you know, when things start to get put in writing, they tend to start to have their own life. So I wanted to come and speak, and I appreciate the indulgence, since work sessions don't obligated to have yahoos like me interrupt. So, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing. So with that, we're like 6:57. We're going to start the meeting here momentarily, and we'll adjourn from this. Thank you very much. Here shortly.
Right? Yeah. Good job, Josephine.
Very good question.
Nuts. And very cool at the same time.
Doing a great job, Deborah.
Well, thank you.
Keep it up.
So I know with the email thing, or the Microsoft 365 migration,
I got into mine okay.
you did, okay.
I just Googled Office 365 email login and put in my login info from before.
Well, you are better than, yes, they do.
Unless there's something else to it.
So your email, what you need to do, if you've got apps on there, if you've got like Word or Excel, you're gonna need to uninstall and reinstall. And Linda might be able to do that for you.
Okay.
So, but the email is really important too.
Never used the apps.
Yeah.
Might be okay.
Phone actually is easy.
Hopefully we can. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Sure. We'll figure out this stuff.
Are you redesigning chambers?
Yeah, we're gonna eventually redo this dais. This one. I don't like the,
Judge.
well,
really not
judges actually came over from England, right? That's where it comes from.
constitutional. What does that mean?
Is there a reason you read this? Did you request it?
She said she did it just because everybody wasn't able to get in.
Okay, okay. I apologize. Yes, that's makes sense.
You're off.
There isn't any room. I try to move over because now my monitors are kind of like blocked. And it's like,
It's kind of
Classes are these, do you need them? Wherever they are?
Mine don't leave my face, so.
That's fine though. Thank you, Debbie. I thought I left them up here.
she turned on the lights and woke me up.
Brighter than usual.
Because she forgot to turn on the camera.
That's my key on it.
Oh, it was dark. Yeah, we do.
Badge to go? Different camera? Just the badge? Yeah, because the camera up there, but there's no camera. We switch your hands. Use the big camera, that's really cool.
It's the back.
It's that one, to the green lights on.
Good, Devin. Just gonna give us we'll just another half a minute here, see if we can focus in the dais. Okay, Deborah. With that, we will call to order the Fairview City Council meeting of Wednesday, December 17th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please.
Counselor Todd?
Present.
Counselor Copeland?
Here.
Counselor Nally? Counselor Marker?
Here.
Counselor Weber? Here. And Counselor Coleman?
Here. And Mayor Keith is representing the city of Fairview this evening in a Metro meeting, so he will not be in attendance. So next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. Are there any citizens wishing to comment on agenda items present this evening? None?
And no request for receipt.
Okay. Next item is the adoption of the minutes of November 5th and December 3rd, 2025.
I'd like to note that on the December 3rd meeting, I actually did say no for adjournment,
I will fix it.
but I'm okay with them as presented.
They should be accurate.
Okay, so we,
I motion to approve the minutes from November 3rd, or November 5th and December 3rd.
second.
I second.
Okay, you have that, Deborah?
I do, but we need to vote now.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Sounds like it passed unanimously. Next item is appoint members to the Park and Recreation Advisory Committee. I believe we wish this particular appointment to this meeting. So Deborah?
Yes, so the Parks Advisory Committee has 4 open positions, and there are 4 applicants. 3 of them are requesting reappointment. Of the 3 requesting reappointment, 2 of them, one will be a 3rd term and one will be a 4th term. And if you need to see a summary of the applications, it is on CP 42. If you want to look at a quick snapshot, but otherwise the request is to look at those 4 applicants, and if you choose to appoint them, to identify in the resolution on page 39 where you are appointing them.
Okay. And with that, when we had this before us at the last agenda, Counselor Weber was not here in attendance, and so we had collectively made a decision to hold off to this meeting. So do you have any input on the appointments, Counselor Weber?
I don't have any input for the PSAC appointments. I do for the PSAC.
To PSAC, but not, okay, I'm sorry, I understood it was for both, okay. Does anyone on council have anything to share as it relates to the 5 applicants here?
I will say if it's appropriate, one of the applicants, Karina, served with me on the Community Engagement Committee. And just from my time there, she seemed to be a beneficial, addition to the team.
And I'm sorry, who was that again?
Karina McGuire.
Karina McGuire, okay. And this, we have Karina, and then we have 3 reappointments for consideration. So would really look for a motion from someone to, for consideration of those people.
I move that we reappoint the 4 individuals to the 4 open positions.
I second that.
Do we need to, okay. This is where it gets.
Councilor Denner, you could, just to clarify, so the ones that are being reappointed, you could just say reappoint to their existing position, and Karina McGuire would be
Appointed to position 5, okay. So I move that we reappoint positions 1, 3, and 4, and we appoint Karina McGuire to position 5.
I second that.
Okay, any further discussion on that item? Okay, all of those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? Passed unanimously. So, next item on the agenda is to appoint members to the Public Safety Advisory Committee. And so, Jenny, Councilor Weber, do you have any input on that?
I do. I think PSAC is a special advisory committee, and I think there's a lot of value in having people who have direct experience in some form of public safety. We've got a pretty good team now made up of 2 business owners, someone who works for the DA's office, a BOEC dispatcher, and an insurance risk specialist. So in reviewing the applications, I would say that John Crash has very good relevant experience as he's a firefighter up in Vancouver. So I think that he would be a great candidate. I also think Eric Taylor has extensive military background, would be a great appointment as well. I recommend that both Nina and Kyle be reappointed to their current positions. And then I would recommend that the last position remain open and continue to recruit for applicants.
Okay, so just for
I can provide an explanation if needed for
Well, no, I mean, any explanation needed from a council perspective? So I think what we're looking for then would be just a motion that you're going to need to do these by position number.
Yeah, so you could reappoint the reappointments to their existing positions, but then you would need to specify Eric and John, what positions they're going in.
Okay, so I make a motion to reappoint Kyle and Lena to their current positions. And I make a motion to appoint Eric Taylor to
Yeah, they're staggered.
4, and John Prash to position 3, which would leave position 2 vacant.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion?
Oh, I can add to, currently we have another member whose term expired. He was not able to commit to a full reappointment to the term, but he is willing to stay on the committee as needed until that position is permanently filled.
But that decision hasn't expired yet.
I believe it has.
Is it Brian's?
Yeah.
It expires December 31st, 2025.
Okay,
And he did send an email saying that he would not be seeking reappointment.
So he'll stay on until the end of the month, and then we can discuss in January, I guess. At that point, because he's not applied to fill in, we're not, the motion on the table, we're not reappointing him right now.
I believe there's something in the charter, though, that you can have a member continue after their term expires if there is not another appointment available.
She is correct. The advisory committee rules allow an existing member to go beyond their term date until their term is filled, should they wish to.
Okay, well, then we're golden.
okay. And did I hear a second to that?
I second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passed unanimously. Next item on the agenda this evening is the MCSO monthly report.
Good evening, council. Thank you for having me this evening. For the month of November, we had 335 self-initiated calls, 223 dispatched for a total of 558 calls. We also had 187 traffic stops that were conducted, which was up from 84 from the prior month. We actually had 4, I incorrectly stated 3 on Monday. We had 4 two-hour missions that were conducted for traffic safety geared toward traffic control devices, stop signs focused here in the village. So that's probably the reason for the significant increase in traffic stops for the month of November. We had one incident that had occurred that's of significance. There was an incident where an individual was struck by a vehicle in the Fieldstone Apartments. The case still is under investigation, whether or not there's any criminal charges or not. That was the main call of significance. Anything else?
Any questions this evening from council? I see none. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, department director reports.
Sorry, John.
Sorry?
John.
Okay. And John, we're willing to extend the meeting this evening for your report since your last report.
Thank you, Council President, councilors. Yes, this is my last report. So it was a busy month. Everything from getting the Christmas tree delivered, put up, decorated for the wonderful Christmas tree lighting event. I thought staff did a great job. Well tent continues, and as I talked to Councilor Denderline earlier, the perimeter blackberry invasives were removed. So again, that project's moving along. This time of year, you know, they aren't moving. A little slow with some of the rain events that we've had of late. And then also, Nate has been working on the annual recycling reports for the compliance with Metro and State of Oregon. There's some requirements that we have to meet, and so this is Nate's first year of tackling this, and he's doing a wonderful job. Bethany's coordinated some plumbing issues at City Hall, and during the major rain event a couple of weeks ago, there was a roof leak. So again, that deferred maintenance, my favorite word, is catching up. So it's keeping her busy, not just at this facility, but all facilities with the city. We hired two maintenance or utility technicians. They came on board as utility technicians too. They came on board with experience and certifications in water and sewer. And so we're happy with that. I think we're finally turning that corner, getting some folks with some experience. And they hit the ground running yesterday. We had a water quality issue that we had to deal with, and the team worked well together, and it was just a great opportunity then to get to know each other too and get to know our system. So I thought, was very proud of the way they handled it. We had, like I said, a few rain events, wind events that have kept staff busy. I don't know if you've watched the news or heard the news, but on your phones, but Multnomah County will be sending out an emergency alert tomorrow morning. They were concerned about the Sandy River and also area creeks and for flooding. So our staff is prepared. We're ready to tackle any events that take place within our limits and support as we can on county roads. We'll keep an eye on Fairview Creek. And with that, I want to say thank you for allowing me to work here for the past 22 months. I've had fun. It's great. But I am retiring, been involved with this for 33 years, and I just want to say the direction the city's going with the new leadership, new finance director, you have a community development director, you have an HR director now. You're moving forward, you're going in the right direction, and I think you're only going to see positive things moving forward. Chief, it was nice working with you over the years. We worked together when I was at Wood Village too, so I just want to say thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
And with that, John, I'd just like to say thank you for the energy and effort you put into for the last 22 months, I think you said. You truly have made a significant difference here for the city of Fairview. It'd be a lot easier on all of us, and Nathan especially, if he just stuck around for a while, but totally understand the retirement piece of it, and you definitely deserve it. But thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I intentionally did not do a proclamation, even though, you know how I feel about proclamations. I was like, we need to do a proclamation for you. We didn't, but I will echo what Councilor Owen said. In 22, you got us really spoiled in 22 months. I mean, the professionalism and the fact that you just got stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
Never an excuse, never well, this is what's happening, it just got done, and for that, I mean, the little things. Every year, our tree loses a segment of lights. It's just the penalty for living in East County and things blowing around, and my wife and I will walk by and go, well, lights are out again. And they'll be out for a couple of days, or 5 days, or 6 days, and we noticed that they went out last night, and the night before, and they were fixed for tonight. So to me, that's going to be incredibly hard to replace. But I also know that you've done a great job of training your people to get on that stuff. So
surround yourself with good people, good things happen.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Nathan and the team is doing, and they'll move things forward.
Councilor Todd? Did you have your light on?
Oh, that was from ages ago, but I will say that, I'm hoping that whoever replaces you, that when I get told by residents about a crosswalk button being broken, that it gets fixed as quickly as it did when you were here.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, John.
Thanks, John.
Sarah.
Good evening again, councilors. So we're going to start with planning. Our associate planner Alex has been busy with preparing floodplain code amendments. The Planning Commission had a public hearing on that amidst the flood warnings that we've been experiencing over the last couple of weeks. And that will be coming to you on the 7th of January for our first reading. He's also been working on an application for a text amendment that will be coming to you in February following the Planning Commission reviewing that application. It relates to requested amendment to the code related to residential care facilities. And we've been working on our tree code project and making good progress, so we'll be excited to bring that forward to you this winter. We've been working through updating our standards. We've got a draft detail for street tree planting. We've got changes drafted up to the code related to street trees and vegetation in the right-of-way. And we're also working on updating the tree list, and that's the one thing that we do want to especially get some more public input on, but we're learning a lot in the process of working with the State Department of Forestry, and we're excited to bring that forward along with doing some community outreach. For economic development, EDAC hasn't met for the last couple of months. It's been a little bit quiet on that front. We have not received any new grant applications for the city's urban renewal development grant since those changes were adopted, but have gotten a couple of inquiries. So hope to continue getting more feedback from our property owners for those vacant commercial spaces. Let's see, in permits, permit levels continue to be fairly slow right now. We are ready to issue the permits for the new Depot Street office building. They're not anticipating starting construction until this summer, but I think that timing should work out well given it's across the street from Fairview Elementary School. And our permit technician, Emma, is just doing a fantastic job. Now that she's really kind of got the rhythm down and understands everything with the position, we're using the opportunity for her to kind of get caught up and do some organizational things with the permit system. And then in code enforcement, I think we've been making some good progress in building relationships with other agencies, particularly ODOT and the Union Pacific Railroad, because we've been seeing more camps along the railroad and I-84. So kudos to our administrative assistant Anastasia for really staying on top of that and communicating with those entities. And we've also, been working with the Multnomah County Sheriff's Office related to those cleanups and posting, investigating RVs that have been on the side of the road, a couple on Sandy Boulevard, to make sure that those get taken care of. And thank you to Nathan also for working with Multnomah County, and we're going to continue working to try and determine the best process and responsibility if we do end up having more abandoned RVs in our right-of-way to get those taken care of more quickly than the last time. With that, I think that's what the Community Development Department has been busy with for the last month.
Okay.
I can answer any questions.
Any questions for Sarah? Nothing, thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Deborah?
Good evening again. So my reports are always, I feel a little bit on the lame side, but I've been busy. I promise you. With the Public Works Director leaving, as you know, we have advertised. The first review I actually completed today. We did get 5 applications. 2 of the 5 do meet minimum requirements, and I will be advancing those to the team to consider when we might be scheduling interviews. We will be posting for an accounting clerk in the near future. One of our utility billing clerks, accounting clerk, left recently, and Ann might say more about that. On the HR assistant position, we did complete 4 interviews. and decided not to move forward with any of those candidates. That said, I got well over, I'm actually up to 175 applications now because this is the second review, and I was able to pull in a whole nother batch of applications from after the first review date deadline. So I'm working through those, and we'll be advancing those to the team to get them narrowed down again, to get another set of interviews scheduled and get that position moving forward. As John mentioned, we brought on board our 2 new public works technicians, and the next edition of the Fairview Point is drafted. I'm going to be finalizing some things and then sending it out to our printer on Friday. So maybe next week they might be arriving in mailboxes, we'll see. Also, the Fairview Point will be on the webpage, but I've also created the fire improvement webpage, if you will, that is up and live. If council wants to see what we have on there, that will be a living page as updates come and new information comes. We'll keep updating it. I'm sure Nathan will have a lot of information. And then on the IT side, the big thing has been the Microsoft 365 migration. And I want to give a huge shout out to Linda, probably not that she's listening, but she's been phenomenal getting everybody in City Hall, working through all the glitches. So that's all I have, unless you have questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Looks like we're good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good evening, Council, President Owen. As Deborah said, we did have a resignation in Finance Department. One of our accounting clerks left us last week. So I'll be working with Deborah to get that posted and recruitment for that going. Another round of interviews. Hopefully we'll have as much luck with our position as she has with hers. That would be nice. We're continuing with our finance implementations. That will be ticking off concerns that our auditor has with version 9, version 10, and how those two integrate together. Accounts receivable will be live in version 10 at the end of this month, and we will begin moving licenses and permits. They don't have a module in version 10 for that. It'll stay in version 9, but we're moving it to the cloud, and the integration will be much better, and I think the accountants will be pleased with that as well. We're having a meeting tomorrow with our output director, and what that does is allows us to email things such as AP invoices and check pay stubs, things that we now print paper for, so we'll be able to go electronic with that. We are looking at moving to Tyler Payments and moving away from Express Bill Pay. That will integrate more smoothly with Tyler, and it'll give us more, what's the word I'm looking for? Current information for customers rather than them making payments and then having to wait for us to download a file from Express Bill Pay and then upload that into Tyler. There's a delay in that. And then lastly, with Tyler, we are going to hopefully end of February, beginning of March, Tyler is going to come in and do a business review on our processes within utility billing to make sure that we are utilizing the software to the best of its ability and get our processes documented, number one, which will be phenomenal. And just making sure that we're doing things the way we're supposed to be doing them within the system. Audit update, we are almost ready for the auditors to come January 12th. We've got a few things that we're wrapping up with Marina, but I think once the auditors arrive here in January, they're going to hit the ground running, and I'm hoping that we can have the next financial statements issued end of March into April-ish, which is 3 audits in about a year for me. Very, very busy. And And then the last thing I wanted to let you know is that we have contracted with Steve Donovan to do a rate study on our utility billing and the rates within utilities to make sure that we are recovering our costs. And that's all I have. Any questions?
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, council. I wanted to real quickly give you Hiro's report. Somebody approved his time off, so he's not here. He said, Plays Board met this month and Hiro shared some updates on the budget, following creation of the winter programs. He also shared a draft, the annual report, and an updated version of the sponsorship proposal packet. Winter registrations opened Wednesday, December 10th, and we were seeing registration come in. Plays will offer a one-day winter camp next week on Tuesday, December 23rd from 11 to 2. On Saturday, December 6th was the 19th annual tree lighting. This year, there were 13 vendors and offered a craft, activities, or a giveaway item. The event finished with a performance by Tippy Toes, our dance provider, and the lighting of the tree. We estimate there were 300 to 350 folks in attendance throughout the entire event, which is significantly higher than in the past. I think it was closer to 150 from what I understand. A big thank you to our Public Works team, and especially a big thank you to Annie, who coordinated the entire event. And Annie is our processor, or program coordinator, thank you, that handles our events. So, couple things I wanted to go over, and I will try to keep it short because I know that our council president would like to leave. But a couple of things. So I wanted to talk really quickly about Public Works. And John talked about our two new technicians that came in, and they are both, they're level 2s coming in. They're almost level 3s. They'll probably get level 3 in a very short time. They're very excited to come over. And one of the reasons they came over is because of our levels of techs. Now we have 4 levels of techs. And I wanted to say thank you to council, because if you remember, we sat down way back when I first started out, that's the organization, and talked about restructuring. And one of those restructuring was changing job titles. It was creating more opportunities. So I just want to say thank you. That's really exciting. And that's what they told us. That's why they came. I want to let you know that I am in conversations and am intending to, we probably won't have the Public Works Director right on board right when John leaves. So I am intending on hiring Bob Cochran, who is a former Public Works Director for the city. He's a certified engineer. He worked here back in I think his last time was 2007. So just as an interim for a period that we need to be, it'd be anywhere from a day to up to 3 months. So that's my intent. So we're working on that. So I don't know if you know him or. Yeah. But so one of the nice things is he was here. A lot of the big projects were put in back in the early 2000s and has some knowledge on that. So so I'm looking forward to that. It's tough to recruit a Public Works Director, but even tougher to fill the role in the shoes of John. But John's done an amazing job. Also wanted to give you an update really briefly on fire services. So the task force met last week and we talked about revenues. So I've had an opportunity to speak with a couple of you and meet with you one-on-one. I'm more than happy to do that. I'll also send you a spreadsheet and we'll continue with updates. Once again, the fire task force exists to try to pull all the cities together so we can move forward in the same fashion and make it otherwise it's gonna be very difficult for us to move forward with any type of district. In that, I will send this out to you on Friday, but it's a revenue, and actually I printed it and left on the printer, great, huh? Just to really make it simple, there's a spot there, it says Fairview, and what the study, this is from Tiberius Solutions did the study. They took the tax rate, the existing tax rate of Fire District 10 for fire services, $3.85 per thousand on your taxes. So basically took that and they looked at different scenarios. And scenario 1 was, what if, we don't do anything with this other than just adding on to the residents? What does that do for the city funding? That keeps us, it actually keeps us right, it lowers us a little bit, keeps us at about $3 million coming in our general fund. And then there was a scenario from property tax, and correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, Ann. And there's another scenario, it's like, okay, we take a look at half, what happens if we add, they add the 3.85, and then the council says, hey, we're gonna reduce that by half for the municipal rate. What that does is it takes us our general fund down to 1.6 million coming in. And then there's a scenario, what if we raise it, what do we need to have to actually meet the expectations of our community with different fire stations? So I do apologize on how in front of you, but I just want to give you a brief overview. That is a significant amount of cost. So the 3.85 gets us in the conclusion, the 3.85 of Fire District 10 keeps us the exact same status quo we're at right now. Gives really, it's showing, the study shows that within 8 to 9 years, it will be, or within a few years, it'll be $8 to $9 million, completely not sustainable. Now, there's no additional fire service, there's no additional fire station trucks, anything. That's just keeping it the way it is if we were at Fire District 10, which is the existing fire district. So that, now we've touched the revenue, and now we're going to be diving into looking at costs, looking at timeline. There's a lot of steps that have to be. If we were having a discussion today with Seth, the nice thing about Seth and Greg is they were here for so long, they were so involved in it more than before I came, but one of the things that's really important is that legislatively, it's very difficult for them to understand to make this happen with 4 cities trying to come together as a new district, and so there's going to be possibly legislation change at state level to help with that. But there's a lot of different balls in the air, I should say. But that's what the committee is doing. And so I was even talking with our mayor about possibly bringing in, and Councilor Weber, who's also on that committee, maybe bringing in Seth to do some more, just kind of showing you where we're going with this. Because he's sitting on the board now because he's acting in place of Greg Dirks, because Greg Dirks is out currently. And he will be until at least probably January. So anyway, that's one of the things I'm looking at doing. So I just want to give you a brief update. I will send out that revenue. It's very comparable, because if you take a look at Clackamas rates, I think their permanent rate is 3.5, or really close to that, or 3.42. And then with their levy, they're at 3.92. So it's pretty comparable to Fire District 10. So at any rate, we are moving as fast as we can. We're trying to gather information. We want to make sure that the councils have information, informed decisions. I'll keep you along the way. I had a brief meeting with I shouldn't say brief meeting. We had a meeting today with all the cities except for Wood Village. I don't think Wood Village is on the call, but we talked about the MHCRC and talking about the winding down. So the first thing news I had to report is the letter that we all sent, the city manager sent, and said, hey, please don't spend your grant funding. The board did not listen to that, or didn't agree with it or not. So the board is going to just go ahead and do the grant funding. So part of the problem with that is it's going to take 3 years to still use all those grants. And so we're looking at what that means. Someone has to administer that. We did dig into it a little bit in administration of different things. So Portland is proposing, they're talking about proposing like an agreement, IGA, to help have, if the cities want to have administration to take care of some of this. So that's something that we're kind of looking at. So more to come. I want to give you a quick update on what Debbie talked about with our integration 365 and Microsoft and updates. This isn't just like an update to get a better service. This is an update to a full new system. And with that system, we'll actually have full document retention system. And we'll start, this is gonna be a long project, but Microsoft, if you're familiar with Microsoft SharePoint, you build it up system, you build system by system, it'll become integrate. We can actually do automation of systems, and we'll be building all of our records and document management and everything. Right now, our document manager is in paper, and it's in just a file server, which is not a very good way of saving documents. So like Taller Technology, which Ann has taken from being used like, I don't know, like one little spot in the garage to using the entire garage with Tyler Technology. We're now going to be doing the same with Office 365. And so we're putting the tools in place so that we can actually become a more efficient city. Wanted to talk about the 4-day work week. So I sent, by the way, if you haven't seen my last operations report, you'll be able to see it once your email's updated. I re-forwarded it to you, but it wouldn't really do any good, so it will be in there. And of course, I'll be sitting on one this weekend too. So something that going back to when I met with you and I talked about restructuring, there's a lot of things I'm trying to tighten down and make more efficient and more effective for our city. And so the 4-day work week is something I've been looking at since I got here. And as far as I can think, I think this is my last big major structure change. I can't think of any other big major structure change. There'll be smaller things, there'll be projects. I can't really, please don't hold me to that, but I can't think of anything else, a major one. The 4-day work week is something I've been looking at, not just I, but the department heads have been looking at for some time. Actually, since I've been here, we've been talking about discussing it literally at least once a month. So there's 3 main purposes for that. And it really, it depends on the lens you're looking from to see how it makes sense. So I think from the public, the lens it makes sense because we're open from 7:30 to 5:30. People can come in earlier, which oftentimes are contractors. People can come in later. We have informally taken a poll over the years, especially since I've been here. Fridays are very, very few people. We don't have a lot of customers coming in on Friday. And so it gives them an opportunity to come in later, come in earlier. If you look at the lens from city manager, from staff, lens of looking at our operations, one of the things you may or may not be aware of, but the union contracts in the past were negotiated to allow the employees to have flexible schedules, and they can choose those schedules. And the management has very little control of those schedules. We can tell when they come to work and when they leave, but we can't really control. They can choose 410s, they can choose 980s, which is 5 days on, 4 days on, 1 day off, and so forth. So what that has created is a situation where we have a lot of people gone a lot of times. John never has a full staff down in Public Works. In fact, Fridays and possibly other days, he's got a few people here, a few people gone. It makes it really hard to work. Same thing here in the office on Fridays, which is the biggest day, although we have some employees are gone Wednesdays and Mondays. We never have a full team. We're not able to work together. It's difficult on Fridays. We have very few people because people have the opportunity. This is not a financial, we can't change this. In fact, when I had one employee move from finance up to community development, the things I sat down with her and asked her if she'd be willing to go to 5/8 because she was doing 410s, and she was willing, which I appreciate. But I don't have the right to tell her she had to go to 5/8. So, and that's just something I've been negotiating for years. I do not know how the city got there, but they're there, and that's why I negotiated with the union. And if you recall, I updated you back, and I was looking at that, and that's one of the reasons I negotiated, is to have the opportunity to do that. The very last lens is really a lens of looking at employee performance and how our employees feel treated. And one of the things I discovered, I did this in Tillamook, and at the time I did this, I literally had one of my employees contact every single, I'm not kidding you, every single city in Oregon. And there were some so small that, get this, the only response was when people needed something, they called the mayor. That's how small the city was. But I think if I remember correctly, it was right around 80% of all cities in Oregon, 80% or more have some type of non-traditional schedule, whether it be 4, whether it be flex, whether it be this. And so the idea of having the opportunity, our employees, as I told you, are working, and we're going to talk about this later in the retreat, but working at 100% capacity. The opportunity to have that day off, I found, was a real benefit to our employees in Tillamook and other organizations where they can have that time to have their day off, more time to mentally relax and move forward. So those are the main 3 reasons. And there's small things, you know, we save a little bit in electricity not being on Friday. I mean, there's less traffic counts. I mean, you can look at all the little tiny things that look at, but those are the 3 main reasons. So Mayor asked me to put on the council, and I thought it was a really good suggestion. And so I wanted to give you an update and ask if you had questions or concerns or compliments or whatever you want to give.
That sounds good to me.
So,
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Appreciate it. And as I told the staff, like, if a majority of staff doesn't want to do it, we're not going to do it. I don't want it to be people begrudging me, but I've already talked about the staff. They seem very excited about it. So.
Councilor Marker, did you have a comment?
Yeah, before I became a city councilor, when I was just AJ public guy, I worked for FedEx. And I worked for FedEx for 24 years. That whole 24-year period, I worked 4-day work weeks. 4-day work weeks were a lot of fun because you got that extra day to turn around and re-energize yourself for the next work week. And I was lucky in the fact that my day off was Friday. So it gave me a 3-day weekend most of the time. And the other thing was if management needed me, management would call me up on the phone and say, Steve, we need you to come in. And so it was really, really good. And it worked out really, really well. So anybody who doesn't like it, you need to look at it a little bit more because it's pretty cool.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And of course, offers always, if you want to talk to me, please let me know. And the very last thing I just want to talk about was a council retreat. One of the things we've been talking about doing is talking about our general fund and digging in deeper into our general fund and specifically regard to public safety mostly. Anything else we can talk about too. And as I've been thinking since our last meeting, I also wanted to really have an opportunity to sit down and give the council an opportunity to look at, I want to talk about our processes that we're doing. And I say our employees are 100% capacity. I think we really need to, I won't give you all the information. We can talk about it, but I want to give you some snapshots of the work that we're doing internally and trying to make things better. I know there's tons of things. I got an opportunity to meet with Council President Owen today. Lots of things going on, and there's lots of things, and I completely agree these things need improved. They really do, and I've got 100 different plans of things I want to do, and we're working on it. So I want to transition that conversation into looking at the goals of the council, at least for this year. What do we want to really look at, and what really is important to you? But I want you to understand the foundation of what we're working on, so that we can get the direction that you're looking for us. And so with that said, I'd like to propose, we could do a long work session, which was my first thought after meeting with the team, and specifically John. John actually suggested Saturday, and actually John is planning on coming back on that Saturday because hopefully we can schedule when he's around before he takes off for his great adventures, but which I really appreciate. So he has opportunity to get input from John as well. So we were looking at January 31st is something we looked at internally that works for us, and we wondered if that might work for you, and I thought I'd just put it on the council meeting. And what I'm just thinking a morning. I'm not talking about a whole day retreat. And I'm not gonna do these all the time either, I promise. We all have Saturdays and they're sacred, and doesn't work.
Not for me.
Okay. What Saturdays might work for you? I know we had some conflicts internally, and
We can certainly do this offline, but that's the only one in January that doesn't work. We've already got something planned, so.
okay, so does that not work for anybody else?
Is that not a Friday? January 31st?
That's a Saturday.
Saturday.
What am I looking at?
Wrong month, probably.
I'm available all Saturdays.
That's weird.
So
2025.
Oh, you're looking at a year.
February 7th in auction.
Gotta go to 26.
February 7th, is that?
also works for me.
I think you're gonna have to doodle poll this.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll do a doodle poll, that's fine. And that's all I have, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So next item, any citizen wishing to discuss or items not on the agenda this evening in the audience? So I look across the room.
Council President Owen, I apologize. When I amended the agenda, because we had a presentation that was scheduled that I removed, I inadvertently removed the city council updates. I apologize. So if council has any updates
Certainly.
they would like to share.
I don't have any updates.
We'll start with.
I don't have any updates.
Councilor Copeland?
I met with PSAC Monday. That was my first meeting with them. So I was sort of getting acquainted. I guess the little bit of feedback I got in that initial meeting was, we talked about possibly going to quarterly, and they seemed, at least at the time, to prefer monthly. They seem to think that they have enough going on that they could utilize the extra meetings. And then they mentioned, communication between council and the committee as far as us relaying to them what we want out of them, stuff they can work on. And then they also voiced that they would like to have some feedback, some say in possibly who gets appointed to the committee, not necessarily them making a decision or voting or anything like that, but just to get their feedback. And unless I'm forgetting something, that's all I recall. Okay. Councilor Denline.
With respect to Councilor Owen, you and I can talk later about MHCRC. There was a meeting last night that was, well, let's put it this way. I got 32 emails this morning saying, here's all the things that we're going to look at spending all grant applications. So if the cities want to stop that process, they're going to have to do it now, because all those will be approved sometime in early or mid-January. I think it's January 12th when we actually will start to approve those. And then it's like trying to claw that money back is impossible. And I hear the potential 3 years of Portland continuing to take money from their little buddies on the east side so that they can do something. So, but we can talk about that later.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilor Marker.
No report. Our PrAC's next meeting will be in January.
Okay, Councilor Weber.
Nothing to report.
Well, Deborah, I'd like to thank you for reminding us of that this evening. Do we have a motion? Do we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, adjourned.
Okay. We need to keep an eye on you.
That's right.
Gotta keep an eye on that dental line.
Toes.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think maybe bring her up to a few meetings, she can learn a few things.
So,
Yeah.
that MHCRC is dissolved.
I was really
You're gonna
shocked.
award grants?
Yeah.
When the wife told me.
Yeah. They're,
Just from me, like.
stop recording.
That's not bad for 8 years old.
They seem to be